Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. And most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my weekday live show, because I want to speak to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do, or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. What is up, everybody? Tracy St. Clair coming in over on YouTube. Good morning. Corey Buchan, happy Tuesday all. He's also coming in over on YouTube. And yeah, you guys, I got a very special guest for you guys. I'm going to bring him up here in a second. He's been on the show before, and you know, he owns a freight brokerage. He's building it, and we're going to talk about the realities of kind of what's going on in the market. And is this normal? Is this a regular seasonal push? And, you know, that's what we're here to do, you guys, is just to have real business owners come on here and talk about what we experienced. So I got my man, Tom Grandy, back on. Tom, what is up, dude? Thank you for joining me.
Hey man, good. Everything's good here. We, you know, we're real busy. So that's a good problem to have right now. So all in all, things are going well. And like we were talking about, the majority of what we're doing is cross-border freight to and from Canada to the US. Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask because like obviously Mexico's all over the news right now about it being the biggest trade partner, I think, with the US or something like that. And, you know, there's some, you know, obviously some reports out there that on who actually bought all the warehouses in Mexico, but we're not here to talk about that today. What I wanted to talk, like, how is that affecting the Canadian freight volumes? Because like I've moved plenty of freight in and out of Canada. I have, you know, a couple of my customers move stuff up there, but it's not like my wheelhouse all the time. And that's pretty much what you guys do. That's really your guys' bread and butter, right? Is cross-border freight.
Right. It is. And in regards to the Mexico situation, I mean, in terms of like trade partners, Canada is not far behind Mexico in that matter. And as well, you know, to be honest, like Mexico is not our bread and butter either. So we might do one or two moves a month type thing to Mexico. But I wouldn't be able to speak on that too well myself, as the mass majority of what we're doing right now is to and from the US.
So how are your customers, like maybe your Canadian based customers, how are they thinking about right now with like their freight volumes and everything else? Because, you know, it's like the economy's tough, right? Like business development's tough out there.
So freight volumes are definitely down across the board. So what's happened? So I feel like the slowdown in Canada happened several months after the United States. So we, like when we were seeing on LinkedIn and on Freight Waves, that kind of thing, and your show saying that, you know, things are kind of doom and gloom and all the negative things that were coming. I hadn't really experienced that up until about 6 months after that was really going on in the US. So with that said, that kind of started our tough market started late in Canada. And it felt like it all came at once when it did. And when it did, obviously at that time, the capacity was through the roof, and things were slowing down. So when that happened, you know, everybody was getting dirt cheap rates, and what that ultimately caused in the long run is a negative relationship between a lot of brokers like ourselves and carriers, and carriers getting upset with guys like us. But the reality of the situation is, you know, we try and work on fair margins. And when you got somebody moving things for less than $2 a mile and that kind of thing, it's hard to compete. And so it was a lot of it is really the shippers dictating the rates. And, you know, like, and I'm honest with them, like, look, to the carriers, like we can't book you on this load for X rate. Like this is what, and if you can't do it, by all means, just say no. But it definitely put us in a situation where carriers are getting quite upset with the rates that were going on. And again, like that's not something that we were dictating. It was, there was way more capacity than demand. And shippers knew that, and they got savvy to it. And unfortunately, a lot of them did take advantage of carriers and brokers during that time. And what we've seen now is capacity is kind of leveling out. A lot of the fly-by-night guys and guys that were starting up in when the market was booming in 2020, 2021, kind of have gone away now. So we've really had to focus on great partnerships with the carriers that we are using, and make sure that we're utilizing them as much as possible, giving them as much business, repeat business, that kind of thing. So, we've really emphasized our loyalty to the carriers that we do use right now with our customers.
It's been such it's every time this industry flips, in whether it's a broker, carrier, shipper market, however that goes, it always kind of baffles me on like the responses of some individuals that are out there, because it's like, I mean, you've experienced market shifts before, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They happen, right? And what I don't understand is how, when, because like price gouging is a thing. Like let's call it what it is. There are people out
100%.
there who will gouge no matter what. They'll post it as $1 a mile, and they're not bidding to their customer for $1 a mile. That's not what they're doing at all. So it's like that thing happens, but it's like what you're talking about there is, from my perspective, is the way that you have to operate, whether it's a broker's market, a shipper's market, or a carrier's market. As a broker, you don't have a business without carriers. And why people push to recycle these guys through and through, and then just like set people up every single time when it's like you have a quality provider that's doing the right thing. It absolutely baffles me that that's some people's business strategies. And these are like large operations too. And I'm just like, man, like, I get it. I'm not sitting here telling anybody how to run their business or do anything like that. But I'm like, if you remove, again, control your controllables, right? I think that's like the number one thing in business, is to control your controllables. And when you do that, it's like you're able to level out some of these market swings as best as you possibly can, as opposed to throwing it out there and work, trying to get the cheapest price. Because it's like, I saw headlines this morning about tender rejections are, at an all-time low. And I'm like, of course they're low. Like, when are we going to come out? When are people going to actually come out and call quarter one what quarter one is? The slowest freight time of the year. And everybody honors their contractual commitments during this time of the year. It has historically happened every single Q1 that I've been. But like, I see people talking about it like it's some revolutionary thing out here. Like, none of that is surprising to me.
No. And I've found that the larger corporations are the ones that were coming down on us harder for prices than the small to medium sized businesses. And I had to, meet with them face to face and everything, and explain to them, good times or bad times, I'm going to have your best interests. I'm going to put your best interest forward. And so when, the rates are through the roof and that kind of thing, we'll make sure that you're getting as competitive rate as possible, and we're not going to rip you off in the good times. And we can't, we can't do things when we're losing money. That's all. So like, I would rather pass on things than take big losses and that kind of thing. Now, if you're a customer that's giving us big volumes and things like that, yes, we do take losses on certain loads, no problem. But we have to be fair with one another. And for the last, say, 2 years, it's been, trying to explain the loyalty factor to everybody, that no matter what the market condition is in, we will make sure that we do our very best to, make sure that you're getting a very competitive rate and you're getting premium service every step of the way. So after we've had those tough conversations, it has improved our position with those larger corporations that we've had business relationships with for 5+ years, that kind of thing. But to give you an idea of the margins, like, so 2022 versus 2023, we did over 33% more in overall load volume, and we did it for almost the exact same amount of money we did the year before.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so so this year we're really focusing on making sure that we're having profitable margins and everything like that, and we're selling the service and end of things more than ever right now, because I don't want to be in a race to the bottom with anybody, and we'll do things at an absolutely fair rate, but we've got to be able to make money on it.
So I want to talking about race to the bottom there. I think that, because it's, as you're out there developing your book of business or your business in general, you clamor at the first opportunity that you get, right? Because it's like, you're realistically, no matter what anybody says out there, you guys, 99% of the time, you're going to get told no in some capacity.
1,000%.
But when you get that one opportunity, it might be a price-driven customer. How do you work with your sales reps during those times? Because like I'm at a point in my career where I will walk away from business if I don't see it's a fit for me long term. Like if obviously if I commit to something, I'm going to see through with it, right? But at the end of the day, I know that not all customers that I work with are going to be with me forever. So how do you kind of develop those out there? Because like I think, and I'm bringing this up because there are people who will take your cold call and they're like, yeah, I'll add you to my distribution list. And then like, it's a constant race to the bottom, right? Because it's like Tom quotes them $500 and then they ask me, hey, can you get me at 475? And I'm a young, inexperienced, or maybe I'm an experienced broker and I just need a result. And they'll be like, yeah, I'll take it for 475. And then they go to, I'm not picking on you, Robert Peterson, but Robert Peterson, they go to Robert and they're like, hey, Robert, can you do this for 450? And then they come back to you and they're like, hey, Tom, if you can do this for 425, I can get you that load. I think it's like, it's identifying those patterns and being like, hey, you know what? This just isn't something that I want to do. That's why I have a hard line in the sand. I'm like not negotiating, because the price that I provide is the price that I need to get it done. And I know that that might cost me business in the short term, but I know in the long term, my customers will know that, hey, if Chris quotes me $1,000, that's what it's going to be.
I'm 100% with you there. So we have a general standard. So if we're getting an opportunity with a new customer, I've given the sales reps a bare minimum margin that we will work with to get our foot in the door.
Sorry. Robert says, now, man, 424.98.
Yeah, right on, Robert.
There we go. True broker right there.
Yeah. But yeah, we do have a few customers that come back to, that exact same thing. Like if we quote 475, can you do 400? The load's yours, that kind of thing. So I do the same thing as you. When we give them a price, nine times out of 10, that's what it's, we won't come down on it, because, this is our price. It's a fair price. And you can guarantee that we'll get it done the proper way. Now, I kind of put it like a flea market. Like, it's not a flea market here. We're not haggling on prices on every little thing that we do. Now, sometimes we do know customers that want to feel like they get a deal each and every time. So, yeah, sometimes we just come in maybe a little bit higher on the thing and then come down and we're right where we want to be anyway. So we do play that game a little bit here and there. But for the majority of business, like when we quote on something, we're fairly firm on it. Now, I know that especially right now, to get in, yes, you do have to quote quite low, maybe to get your foot in the door, and then we can get a feel for the customer and see how things go. We've got better things to do, and we can let somebody else have a race to the bottom. How
important is it to create a customer profile on who you actually want to go after, as you're trying to develop business? Because, and I say that, and I talk about this a lot, Tom, but like literally the most successful people I know in this industry literally built their business off of one thing. Like, they're not a jack of all trades. They're none of that. They have their niche, and they're going up off of it. And you might, because it's like, what's funny to me, I don't know what it is about this industry that people are like, oh, you only have a $20 million operation. What do you mean? Do you know how hard it is to develop a $20 million operation? I don't think people can actually comprehend how much money and how much effort and time it takes to build that up, especially from an organic standpoint. The longer I get into this industry, Tom, the more and more I'm convinced, I swear, it's flooded with account managers who acquired a book of business through attrition, and now they're a top sales rep, AKA I got all my accounts handed me and they've never developed a customer before. I know based on what people say out there if they've actually developed a business or not, because they will all talk about this. They will all talk about, no, you need to pick a niche. You need to be undeniably better than everybody else. But then the other crowd is, oh, we'll do anything and everything, and it just fucking drives me nuts. So before I get worked up, what is your perspective?
So I agree. I do agree that getting started, I think that you do need to focus on a niche. How I got started was flatbed steel in the steel industry. So that's literally like all I focused on for the first year and a half, and my business grew from there. I didn't want to do just regular dry van freight that everybody's attacking at the same time. So I focused on that specific industry and made relationships from there. And from that, a ton of referrals have come through. But what we do now is we target specific industries and obviously not just steel. And so we do our due diligence and we really research and we find out the revenue of that company, who's in charge, has there been any changes? We'll take a look on Google Maps to take a look at their facility, see how many loading docks they have, that kind of thing. So we really do focus, but we're not going after anybody and everybody. Like they've got to have a certain level of revenue per year, that kind of thing. But we're certainly not. I know, and I do know a lot of people that'll just take on anything and everything, but we're not in a position right now where we need to do that. And we definitely focus specifically at specific industries that we know ship freight on a regular daily basis, and go from there.
What's been one of the best things that you've been able to apply to grow your business to kind of sustain through any market?
I would say the biggest thing is getting our operations down and streamlined, making sure that no matter if we're swamped, if we're slow, we know everyone on the team knows what to do, and how to do things, so that we do everything we can possible if we get a load tender, we make sure that we know exactly what the commodity is, obviously the dimensions, the weight, if there's appointments, when it needs to be there. Because how often have you probably had a customer say, like, you get an LTL pickup and they're like, is it, say it's going across the country or something, and they wonder why it's not there in 2 days, something like that. So we get all the specifics. So I think that in order to run and especially grow an operation during the hard times, you need to have your operational side running like streamlined, and making sure that everything is perfect, because it only takes one mistake to lose a customer. And so make sure that all your ducks in a row are there in operations. And then with the sales, I think that no matter what, you've got to stay focused on sales. And especially right now, it's obviously tough, and it's, rates are very competitive. So my suggestion would be to sell on problems that you have solved. Don't force feed, your solutions or what you can do. Take the time to listen to the customer, understand, everyone deals with different things. Every personality is different. You've got to figure out how to find your in, and typically how we've made things successful here is by pointing out issues or problems, or how we fix something for a customer, and making sure that they know that we're not just, pushing our services on them. We want to understand what type of business you're doing, your requirements, and then how we can add value to maybe one key area of your transportation business. We don't need it all, but maybe there's, one or two big areas that we could help improve upon. And that could be through a plethora of things. It's obviously more than just picking up and delivering things. So, yeah.
Dude, I only sell on the niche, what we can do, and like our operations, because I truly think, like, at the end of the day, your operations are the thing that matters. Everybody, like I swear most companies invest in business development and they don't focus on the execution of it, because it's like
Right.
everybody says they want more freight. I mean, fuck, I want more freight, but can my team execute it at a high level where I can bring that exact same level of service, communication, and execution to every single shipment? Because my customer shouldn't know the difference, whether it's a one pallet Sprinter van or a 12-foot wide, 14-foot tall over-dimensional piece. They should receive the
Right.
exact same level of service, updates, everything on that piece, and delivering that consistency time and time again.
Yeah, like we want to grow the business? Absolutely. But do we want to grow it at the expense of losing another account because we're too focused on sales and then dropping the ball elsewhere? So no. So, we have to make sure that our operations is perfect. And then we're also working on bringing in new customers. And then you have to be very specific as to when you know that you need to bring on additional help, because you don't want to bring on that business and not be ready for it when it comes.
Yeah. And that's another piece that I think is overlooked, is it's like, okay, well, when I get the business, does it fit my carrier team's capabilities, right? Or are you throwing frozen reefer, dry van, over dimensional, and all that stuff at them? Like, does that affect your service? I would argue it affects your service, right? Because like my master plan with all of this is, and I'm not afraid to say it is I'm going to have one trick pony sales reps and one trick pony ops teams. All right. They are going to be undeniably better than everybody at dry van if they're on dry van freight, undeniably better than everybody at flatbed stuff, because that's all that they're going to do. Right. And it's to really just bring that, because I want to bring that customer a level of service and communication that everybody says that they have, that very few, I truly feel, execute upon it. Because if they did, they wouldn't be fucking taking my phone calls. If they were recruiting that good shit.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So that's how we've done things as well. As everybody's kind of assigned to a different side of the business, handling different accounts, and we're not, our LTL guy is not doing the cross-border reefer freight from Ontario to California, that kind of thing. We have very specific lanes that everyone runs in. And that's not to say that they can't jump up, if someone calls in sick or something like that, and they have to jump in for the other person, they can absolutely do that, and they're trained to do so. But that we also try and keep everybody in specific lanes, knowing that specific customer's business 100%, and making sure that I have confidence that they can make sure that, if I'm not here or whatever, or not checking in on certain things, that it's going to be done perfect.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that by saying perfect, there's lots of variables and lots of things that happen that, your freight could be late. It could be for all types of different reasons, but communication is number one. We have to get in front of that problem. And again, we're not just going to the customer saying, so-and-so called in sick today, or there's a breakdown or whatever. Here's the situation. Here's what we're doing to fix it. And, here's the new updated ETA or whatever. It's always not, we're never bringing them just a problem. We're bringing them the issue, the solution, and when it's going to be there. And everybody knows that. No one just comes to me and says, hey, Tom, we've got a breakdown on this or whatever. I let the customer know that his truck's broken down. Well, that doesn't help anybody. We need to provide the solution. So,
I think no, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, that's the operation side is so important. And I think that some companies get so focused on bringing in new business that they let other business go to the wayside, where I don't want to lose any accounts. If we have a good account, I do not want to lose them. And they know that, if they call me at Sunday at 8 p.m. or whatever, it's the same as calling me at Monday at 10 a.m. Like, we'll make sure we get the job done for you.
Yeah. I think that, the word partner is thrown around really overdone. I truly think, because everybody wants to scream partnerships and, relationships when it's all of a sudden not convenient for them anymore. Because what, it's like, you got to ask you, when's the last time you actually lost money on a load for a customer? Or did you give it back in that moment? Or when was the last time that, you did literally everything to make sure that problem was taken care of, even at your own expense. And you threw your capital on the line to make it happen because it was a weekend, right, Tom? Like, it is a weekend, and maybe that, but you took it upon yourself to get it towed or cross-docked, whatever it was. You paid for it for your customer. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, again, I can't speak for everybody out there. I can't. I'm only speaking for myself. And at the end of the day, I view money as a renewable resource. I will do what it takes to make sure that my customers are taken care of, because like, I truly think this, and your perspective changes when you've developed a business, when you've fought to earn somebody's time, to then earn that first shipment, that second shipment. And as my man Robert says here, you're only as good as your last load. That's his motto for the last 16 years. And when you have that mentality, you will do whatever it takes. And especially, I mean, do you get this as a business owner, Tom? Your capital is on the line, right? Like 100%. You'll do whatever it takes. I don't know if everybody views it that way because, this might affect my bonus or my, and I say that with confidence because that's how I used to fucking think when I was an employee.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that's tricky to get across to everybody, because at the end of the day too, as being a business owner, it's hard to get in your head, but the people that work for the company, it's hard for them to care as much as you, obviously. And so it's a fine line to get them to care, and you've got to find ways to motivate them to care. Things like the bonus thing, if you do the right things across the course of the year, look, not everything's going to go great. And just like in life, it's not, rosy every single day. There's ups and downs. So you just have to weather the storms, do the best you can. And don't, if you're focusing on one load, affecting your bonus, that kind of thing, you're probably in the wrong business. Because that stuff happens all the time. And we know how hard it is to build a book of business. So if I have to lose a few $100s or even up to $1,000 on a thing that happens over the weekend, but I save this guy for life, he's not, he knows he can call Tom at any time and he'll get it done for me. He's not going to go anywhere. That's a return I'd take any day of the week.
I think a lot of people love to get their back scratched, but they don't like to scratch it back. I truly think that, man. It's again, I don't know, man. I think that when it boils down to it's so hard. It's literally the hardest thing that you do out there to build something out of nothing, right? How many businesses started off of a laptop in a dream, and that's where it started, and then they build it up, and then they go through all the trials and tribulations, and you're not getting paid by people, and you're trying to balance all that shit out, and it just changes your perspective. I guess that's what I'm really trying to get to, is it really changes things when you've been when you've been in some real life shit, and you're like, I got $20,000 due tomorrow and I'm owed 40. Like, how am I going to make this happen?
Yeah. Like, my background is I left a well-paying job to start this. And I started it with one laptop, like you said, out of a bedroom at my house. And so I know how hard you have to work to get things up and running and get employees and get an office and build a book of business that's able to pay all the wages and all the bills and everything else. So loyalty I've found in this industry can be a little tricky with customers and even employees with the number of providers out there. So I try and do my very best in terms of treating my customer or my employees like they are a massive part of the business, which they are. And I preach, all the time that our success is your success. Like the better we do, the better everybody does here. And it's not like, I want to share the success with everybody because everybody does work hard, and everybody, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, I appreciate your time. We didn't get to any articles, but we had a great conversation about what the reality is of operating a business, no matter what. So, I mean, if you're hiring or anything, or if anybody hears like they want to get in contact with you, Tom, how do they reach out?
Best way to do it is reach out to me via email. My email is tom@vettori, that's VETTORI.com. VitoriInc.com. So VitoriInc.com.
Perfect. And if you guys have made it this far in the episode, I got a special treat for you. I got a shipper coming on Friday. All right. I know I normally do Q&A day on Friday, but you guys can actually ask a shipper questions about your sales pitch and everything else. He's willing to come on. I'm not going to tell you who it is. And please, for all things, do not spam this guy after he comes on the show on Friday. Okay. He's here to add value to this industry, and that's what he wants to do. But that will be it for today, you guys. I got a guest coming on tomorrow. We're going to talk about something else here. He just released something out there, but that's going to be it for today. As always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network. This is how we grow, but most importantly, this is how we help more people, is because if you saw value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.